with their know-how and the ecosystem, I think they're the best position to do that. But of course, startups are great, and they will come up with novel ways. And I think like the ultimate goal is to like decode how the brain works and hijack directly the brain, not go through like different. Like imagine touch, how hard it is to simulate touch.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Well, and you know, to speak a little bit more to your question, just from a practical, like putting this on the stage. Recently worked on an international tour for a pop star, and one of the big focuses on this, we were just at the Hollywood Bowl, that is a 60-foot screen that's up above everybody, and it's going through the normal visuals that you would all expect at any sort of concert. And we did have one small bit of it where if people had sent messages to a certain text message that evening, we were dropping a heart for each one that came in. Now imagine if you had people in the pit, or you had people in certain seats, and they had this sort of brain monitoring technology or some technology tracking their eyes, and we could see with flush response, we could get any sort of variable data and then feed that into some of our video cues. Now, as people are getting more excited, they're seeing an effect on the screen. They're seeing, you know, the screen covered in hearts. They're seeing just small, cool things that as the crowd gets more excited, the visuals become more dynamic. As the crowd starts feeling more melancholy with the piece, you see color shifts. And being able to just get very simple biometric data and then shift the whole room to that biometric data would be exciting. And we're not far from it. Like, we're really not far from it.
It's also when you perform, I mean, as a performer, playing in bands or alone, there's always a certain vibe, a specific vibe to an audience that it's kind of magic of that night. And you can't really understand why, but a certain night, people are going to have this amazing energy, and maybe because the temperature wasn't great or something happened, then you're going to feel a little less vibe, or it's going to be way harder for the performer to just give because there's no coming back. But all that to say that there's always a certain chemistry of the audience, the combination of people in the audience, and it would be very fascinating to even have a group connection where, because of that specific night, the audience has a certain feedback, and that will change and makes every show different. Basically, you would never see a show the same way.
It makes me think about the immersive experiences as a product, but also as a medium with technologies, because when you were talking about concerts and the crowd and the feeling and so on, actually today we are talking about sound spatialization, and we can control where the sound is on the place, and depending based on that, it impacts the feeling of the crowd, because depending on where you can hear the sound on the back of your brain or in the front, you can feel different emotions, and it can be maybe a solution to assure a great concert and control the indicator to the parameters. Yeah. To have a great show with a great energies and so on.
Yeah. Well, and I think that can really help drive people's changing of an environment, that each crowd can make it a little unique for them. And for content creators, it means that we have to start thinking more of an A/B moderation to that content, right? That you have to have variations that happen that actually swing based on the data you're given. So it means that we have to think a little bit further down the road to make those choose your own adventures. Any other questions? Oh, a bunch of hands. Let's start. Go ahead.
You talked a lot about the creative side. I'm very curious about what's your ideal business strategy, business models? Because look, I want to make sure that all of you artists are compensated fairly. Sean, you're cheating because you're tagging on the big productions and big IP.
Okay, we'll remove that part. I'm also an artist.
But these two, and Bert to a lesser extent, obviously, because he's got platform stuff. But what's going to be the right business model that compensates you fairly, but get your art in front of enough people to make it all a win-win for everybody concerned?
That's dollars and cents question. That foundation is important. Do you guys have an idea?
I think I need partners. That's what it is. I mean, I'm an artist. I'm a creative, and so I need to align with business visionaries that see how to exploit this. There are some ideas, and of course, there's a way to, I think, create, the fact that the audience creates content, I think should be part of that business model, because it's that agency that kind of feeds back into it, and that would be, I think, an incentive for the audience to kind of, have a sense of creating content that actually get back to them, but also feed back into the creatives. I think also there's something that is lacking a lot in this industry is tipping. When you go to a concert and you're in love with the visuals, or you just love that performer or something, when you go to a restaurant, when you go to somewhere else, you can always tip. And why that is that we don't have that agency on a concert to actually say, hey, I really love this and I want to encourage these creatives, it would be really nice. So I think all these new ideas might be integrated in these platforms that might be able to allow it. I think there's new ticketing as well that could be improved. So it's all different, I don't know if you want to add it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your question, because I've always dreamed about being an artist, but I was afraid of that. So I studied psychology and entrepreneurship, and today I'm supporting creative and cultural industries through business strategy, and it's so important that we can have that kind of position. And actually in Belgium, it's quite difficult for traditional fundings to understand the creative and cultural industries. So we need people that that take this gap and to understand the realities of creative and cultural industries while talking the same language in terms of funding, project developing, and so on. So it's important to have a strategic vision and decides the best business models to develop the creative and cultural industries. But I think it depends on the sectors, because you won't have the same business model for a museum, for a creative studio, and so on. But for my experience, we started working on a high piece, has a new business model and a new source of revenue, in addition to a one-shot show, for example, with a video projection mapping on buildings.
Excellent. Well, and I think that's just about all of our time tonight. Or today, this morning, first conference of the day. Yeah. Thank you all for letting us be a part of it today.
Thank you so much. You can make your way off the stage. Be careful of this step. It's half my height, so I'm not going to be up.